Hello there, Internet. Version 2 here with Let's Read Danganronpa 0, where we last left off Matsuda killed the dude! Yay! We're getting to the end of this. Obviously, we're gonna get to the point where people start dying. It's Danganronpa. But still, though, just like strangling someone, like, damn, it's cold, buddy. Cold. Chapter 5. In one of the East District's cafeterias. Its de facto name is the Third School Cafeteria. Although there are several cafeterias scattered throughout the campus, this is the most popular by far. Apparently. During noon, it's filled not only with students, but also teaching staff lined up in a queue. It seems the secret behind the popularity of this cafeteria is the students they call Super High School Level Cook, who boasts of his own unique recipe. His food isn't governed by genre or common sense, and I hear it's so addictive you can't help but feel it must contain drugs, but come to think of it, it doesn't really matter since I've forgotten how addictive it is. God damn it! Why? Fuck, do we need him here as well, God damn it, fucking Christ. Why? No! Someone chuck him in the deep fryer now and just save us like the whole first chapter of Danganronpa 2. Well, in any case, even now, the student cafeteria is filled with students, so there wasn't a single seat available. For someone like me standing by myself, this atmosphere was anything but comfortable. I'm here too, you know. Oh, god damn it. Please, just all of you die already. Fuck. Did you hear me? I told you, I'm the super high school level secret agent from the 77th brand, Kamashiro Sex Pest Jr. Come on, how many times do I have to introduce myself? Kamashiro-kun said as he made a cross shape with his arms in front of him. Damn it, it seems like we have bad chemistry. I was praying to God a lot that would be a good combination. Too bad. What kind of God were you praying to? The bad ones. Insert your own joke there. I'm not gonna bother. In any case, it seems Kamashiro-kun and I certainly do have bad chemistry. Yay. Forgettable Kamashiro-kun and forgetful me. He was holding what looked like to be a mixture of pale kalpis and water. I don't know what pale kalpis is. Well, whatever. What's more important is starting our conversation. Right, we can do that, but I looked around the students bustling through the cafeteria. What if instead we don't? Why come here out of all places? Kamashiro-kun waved his short finger in front of me with a tisk tisk tisk. It's bad taste to answer such a question to an outsider. If anything, this is the perfect place for it. If we talked about this in a place with only a few people, someone would be able to overhear us easily. It's a theory I have that we should hide like we're extras in an adult video. Really? Hide like extras in an adult video. Those are things with only a few people. Like, fuck. Your sex obsession with the jokes don't even make sense when you're trying to insert it into every joke that you make. And I'm saying that. God damn it, Kamashiro. For fuck's sakes. So what you're saying is if we need to talk about something important, we should pretend we're having a normal chat. What I'm saying is it'd be lonely if I was here by myself. Ugh. Our casual conversation was buried in the sound of the hustle and bustle around us. See, no one cares about our conversation, do they? Kamashiro-kun had a huge grin on his face like he had just committed some fantastic prank. He then moved on to the main topic. There's a reason why I wanted to talk to you as soon as possible. Did anyone go to your room this morning, big sis? Did they? It's fine if you've forgotten, just check in your notebook. Surprised, I did as I was told and took out Otonashi Ryuko's memory notebook. Retroactive drinking game, take a sip of beer if every single time that you see the phrase Otonashi Ryuko's memory notebook in this. Don't take shots of spirits, don't even take shots of beer because it'll fucking kill you if you do that. I remembered in no time at all. I couldn't help but yell out as I remembered. I remember! I know, it was Enoshima Junko. That girl suddenly came into my room. Huh. Kamashiro suddenly leaned forward. So then, that person really was Enoshima Junko. I knew it. Yep, it seems like that wiretap I put in your room worked perfectly. God damn it, Kamashiro. Tell us first at least, huh? Say, Kamashiro-kun. Huh? What? What did you say just now? Did you say a wiretap? Yeah, I said that. I said wiretap. What about it? A wiretap. Yes, it's a common machine used for eavesdropping. I quickly stood from my chair. How is that normal? I screamed at the top of my lungs. Normal, common people don't use those machines. Kamashiro-kun's face was as calm as ever. Let's not rant on about the wiretap. It was crime prevention. Wiretaps aren't just used to prevent crimes. Have you seen a little show, Kamashiro? A little show I like to call Hawaii Five-0. Sorry, I had to... Hashtag go watch The Wire. I should just put that at the end of all my tweets. Hashtag go watch The Wire. Yes, I am one of those people when it comes to The Wire. No, I don't give a shit. Go watch the fucking Wire. Stop watching this video right now and start watching The Wire. Aha! And then once you've finished all 5 seasons of it, then you can come back and pick it off. Hi everyone, for those who just watched The Wire, I just told you to go watch The Wire. It's been a while since you've seen the first season. Sorry. I'll get back to the actual video that I was making instead of plugging a show that finished 10 years ago. Aha! So you noticed. Clap, clap, clap. God, it's like he's at a Shameless Kennedy concert. No one's gonna get that. As he verbally applauded me, he took out a giant paper bag from under his chair. The boy immediately shoved his face into the bag and pulled out a sweetbread. Ah, a sugar twist donut. As he cheered out by himself, he happily crammed it into his mouth. That's a little rude. Hooga fooga fooga. No, she's in ultra despair. Sorry. Toko Fukawa and Fuwa's kind of like that. It makes sense. I have no idea what you just said. Kamashiro-kun swallowed down the sweetbread that had been stuffed into his mouth. I said, I don't want you to misunderstand me. I didn't just wiretap you, big sis. In a broader sense of speaking, I guess I wiretapped around this many people? Kamashiro-kun held up all his fingers. Do you not know how to count? Huh? 10 people? He shook his head. 100 people. That's not... 100 people? Each finger was to signify a unit of 10 people. That's not how things... Oh, God. Please be dead by the end of this chapter. You can sit 100 people on an Inaba Minuki shed and no problem. What? Inaba Minuki seems to be a Japanese storage company. Kamashiro just recited their catchphrase. Oh, okay. Thanks for explaining that. Was that a translation thing? Because the way it says seems to be. Is that... Okay. Okay, thanks for explaining the reference, translator, I assume. I was stunned at the unexpected amount of people he counted. He continued to explain the reason why. The reason is, I rotate between girls a lot. God damn, do I even want to read this? That way I can have fun. Nope. Not reading that. How did you manage to wiretap 100 people? Okay, no, not reading that. Doing something else with a piece of cake. Do something else with that piece of cake. No, it's all pretty confusing in English, but he says doing things before breakfast in Japanese, which is like saying it's a piece of cake. So Otanashi tells him to do something else before breakfast. He then says something is growing, but I've heard the word he said can be used for ejaculation. I appreciate that the translator is now just saying, you can't even translate his pervertedness into English properly, so I'll just explain it instead. Like, yay! I love how this character is in every single one of these fucking games, except for Danganronpa 1 for some reason. It's the one game that doesn't have it. I mean, there's kind of Toko with Byakuya, kind of, but that's more of an idolized obsession kind of thing, not, look, I'll have breakfast, watch my dick come, or fucking whatever that's meant to mean. This is getting out of hand. The hand, the leg, the head, the back. It's getting out of come on. Let bygones be bygones and let you be dead by the end of this chapter. The boy wiped away his problems with a simple phrase and started talking about different subjects. When you big sisters are in your room, you sure are noisy, aren't you? Because of that, I could barely hear any of the conversation. So why did Enoshima Junko come visit you? She came because she had an errand for you to run, didn't she? As he said that, he took out another sweetbread. Oh, a cub's paw made in Germany. He looked like he was tasting a rare delicacy as he munched on it. Do you not know what's in your bag before you pack it or something? Like, what the hell? Well, that's... My eyes dropped down to my notebook as I answered him. It seems she came to give me a hint. A hint? I flipped through my notebook. Oh god, here we go. Enoshima Junko's purpose. Here we go. Kamashiro-kun looked surprised at my words. Tell me in more detail, what did Enoshima Junko say her purpose was? Kamashiro-kun asked with a more forceful voice. I read aloud my memories from a notebook. also feeling very tense. It seems like Enoshima Junko has two purposes. The first is to crush Kamakura Izuru until nothing is left. Do you know what that means? Keep going, he coldly prompted. I looked back down my notebook. The second is, I read on ahead a little and was shocked by what I read. It was as if someone had killed me by pounding my spine with a hammer. I felt a sudden, intense shock surge through my entire body. Big sis? What the hell? It says, kill your beloved darling, Matsuda Yasuke. As soon as I said it, my brain felt like I was having a nuclear meltdown. My surroundings began to rock from side to side. It wasn't an earthquake. I, myself, was the one shaking. My head felt hot, unavoidably so. Only my body was cold. I was stricken by the less familiar feelings of fear and anger all at once. I was shaking violently for reasons I could not understand. Calm down, big sis. The inside of my head was numb with fear. There was a voice echoing quietly. I was brought back to my senses to find Kamashiro-kun saying something to me. The kill thing has to be a bluff. There's no way a person can kill so lightly. If she really planned to kill him, she wouldn't bother declaring it to you until long after murdering him. Am I right? That would be true. I know that. But I can't stop my body from shaking. There's no way she can kill him. My voice was shaking so much I almost couldn't form a single word. In the meantime, it might be better for you to just not say anything until you calm down, he said lazily as he gulped down the bread in his hand. Instead, you should listen to my reasoning from now on. Ugh. Pardon me. Also with the hiccups and just the having to deal with this fuck up just existing. He announced loudly, okay, let's get a move on then. Kamashiro-kun suddenly straightened his posture, enthusiastically, as he started the reasoning part. Firstly, there's the problem of the advance notice of Matsuda Yasuke's death that you're so worried about. I suppose that's a bluff. So secret agent of you for someone who, like, don't you know that Junko killed someone before? Like, either the steering committee members or someone else? Didn't Junko appear to kill one of the... Ashiki Madurai? Is that it? I think it is. There's no sense telling others about a murder you have yet to commit. She may have been using it as a threat, but that's also unlikely. It's definitely a bluff. Cool. You're gonna get him killed. For now, that's our understanding of it, but we should be more wary of the girl's first purpose. Enoshima Junko's first purpose. That's certainly... No, even so, crushing Kamakura Izuru until nothing left is... Honestly, even I was a little surprised. It's too much of a coincidence. I didn't think I'd hear Kamakura Izuru's name. Who's that? Did you ask who's that person? Kamashiro-kun patted his chest with his hand. They're the culprit. The boy leaned forward, over the table, and spoke in an excited voice. I was surprised, since Kamakura Izuru is the culprit behind the worst, largest incident in Hope's Peak Academy's history. Eh? The culprit behind the worst, largest incident in the Hope's Peak Academy's history? Speaking of which, what is the worst, largest incident in Hope's Peak Academy's history? Love having a main character who constantly forget things. Makes me feel at home. I tilted my head to the side. Wait, I can tell by your reaction that you don't remember. Kamashiro huffed and pouted. It's boring to show off my deductions to other big sisters, but from now on I should expect your reaction when I tell you my reasoning. Kamashiro-kun really did look bored as he exhaled deeply. Then he began to talk again. When I told you the other day, you didn't remember it either, but you didn't even bother to ask me whether the worst largest incident in Hope's Peak Academy's history really happened or not, did you? But now I can say with more confidence. Kamashiro-kun clicked his fingers right in front of my eyes. The worst, largest incident in Hope's Peak Academy's history. Kamakura Izuru is the culprit behind the incident. He wore a proud expression as he declared it. After a while of wearing that expression, he spoke again. That wasn't the reaction I was waiting for. He said his one-sided excuses as I tried to regain my composure. The reason as to why I believe this is the case is also why I called this meeting. Kamashiro leaned over to face my ear and whispered in a small voice. Actually, I overheard a conversation between faculty members. Overheard. Somehow that filled me with a sense of dread. The people having a conversation were on school campus, but they seemed to be very careful. They didn't mind spilling out all their complaints when in their own private rooms though. Like after a love affair, it was the #1 most stale atmosphere. Honestly, those guys from Office Romances are scary. I don't understand what you're on about. You don't mean... Oh, it's been a while since you last talked. Eh? Was it a while? Didn't you just say... Okay, whatever. No, I wasn't worried about that. More importantly... Oh my, as expected, I think the wiretap I installed in the female teaching room staff has been at least a little useful thus far. We should call this operation, the elite female staff are set up with a dilemma. Gwahahaha. I see. How nice. Understandably, my reaction ended up seeming pretty idiotic. In any case, the pieces of the puzzle are starting to come together. The worst, largest incident in Hope's Peak Academy's history. Kamakura Izuru and Inoshima Junko. Once we find what the connection is between them we'll be able to solve this case. So then, it'll only take a little longer? Yeah, just a little. Kamashiro-kun's expression became shrouded. Putting it another way, we just need to take one more step. Here's my prediction. Once we connect one more piece, all the secrets will be revealed. If that happens, we'll understand soon afterwards. There's only one piece left? So, are you going to talk to this Kamakura Izuru person? They're the culprit, aren't they? Kamashiro-kun made a troubled face, tilting his head to the side at my question. I don't think I can. After all, no one knows where they are. Don't know where they are? So they're missing? I wouldn't call it missing, per se. Kamashiro-kun's face only became more and more troubled. His tone of voice became more serious. The human named Kamakura Izuru isn't a member of the regular school, the preparatory school, or the teaching staff. In fact, I can't find any mention of that person's name anywhere in Hope's Peak Academy. No boys, no girls, no student graduated or presently attending. Huh? No mentions anywhere. It's like they're a ghost. This would be very different to read if I hadn't finished Danganronpa 2 before this. Also, I finished Danganronpa 2 years ago, so hey, there's also that. I think the most likely possibility is someone wiped out the record clean. What nasty business. I believe it would have been someone inside the school, but not someone within the inner workings of the school. It's too risky for them. So then, there's an accomplice within the school? It's strange though. For as long as I have investigated, I haven't found a single student who knows who the person called Kamakura Izuru is. The school began hiding them after the incident, so it would not be strange if there were students who know about them before the incident. However, I never thought there would be no sign of existence from the very beginning. No way! They really are a ghost! Stop that, they're nothing like a ghost. Kamashiro-kun puffed out his cheeks. He looked really mad. Evidently, he disliked the turn the conversation took. Well, hey, it's your fault for making ghosts a real thing in this universe with fucking Ultra Despair Girls. Anyway, Kamashiro-kun cleared his throat slightly and readjusted his face to a more serious expression as he talked. No matter what the reason is, if we don't find out who Kamakura Izuru is, we may have no choice but to give up. Give up? I suddenly raised my voice. Kamashiro-kun shook his finger in front of my face with another tisk, tisk, tisk. It's no good to jump to conclusions. As I was saying, we may have no choice but to give up coming at it from that perspective. If we can't figure it out from that perspective, it'll be better to come at it from a different perspective. It's stupid to always look at things from one point of view. No, not even reading that. I see. Thank goodness. My reasonable reaction turned to an idiotic one and I replied over cheerfully. So, what's the other perspective? Inoshima Junko, of course. Inoshima Junko. We always return to that girl's name. I felt shivers go down my spine. Thanks to the conversation I overheard from the female staff, I finally understand. In what way Inoshima Junko is connected to the worst, largest incident in Hope's Peak Academy's history. Kamashiro-kun shot a quick glance at me, checking my exceedingly weak reaction as he let out a large sigh. It looks like you don't remember, but other than being the person who started the rumor of the incident, it's a mystery as to what other connection she has to the worst, largest incident in Hope's Peak Academy's history. But it's a mystery I've finally cracked. It seems she's the girl who discovered the incident. Oh. Discovered it, but isn't that suspicious? Since this is a mystery novel, she's primarily a suspect, said Kamashiro-kun, nodding. But you know that, don't you? She's already been interrogated by the school. Interrogated? I told you! If you don't remember, check your notebook. Kamashiro-kun was yelling like he was throwing a huge temper tantrum. I quickly read through my notebook. I see. Enoshima Junko started to spread rumors immediately following the incident. But didn't you say she was interrogated? But if she was released just after that, that means she can't be the culprit. Thanks to your awful conversation timing, I've come to a conclusion, big sis. Well, it's just as you put it. It seems like the interrogation was highly relentless. I was thinking it would have been impossible for her to escape. Kamashiro-kun suddenly stopped moving. What's wrong? I see. That's it. The boy's eyes widened. The corner of his mouth shook and trembled. I understand now, big sis, he shrieked excitedly. We completely overlooked the most important part of it all. It really was best to ask you to help me out, big sis. You did great with the interactive mystery part. With uncontrollable excitement, he enthusiastically took another sweetbread out of the paper bag. As he bit into it, he started to craft a new sentence. By the way, it was a jam bun. I like how we have to be told. What I'm saying is, Enoshima Junko was interrogated by the school. That's where the last piece was hidden. Huh? What do you mean? Well, you see, the information I heard while eavesdropping, the interrogation on Enoshima Junko was definitely incredibly thorough. There were things like polygraph tests that don't work properly, and kinesthetics analysis that doesn't work well. They started with cliche things like that. Then something called brain fingerprinting, which is a slightly different thing to interrogating that doesn't really exist in our universe. But the thing with the brain fingerprinting is seemed to be noted as being more reliable lie detector than compared to a polygraph test. That's because flipping a coin is more reliable than a polygraph test. The point is that we're using tests that measured brainwaves directly to see if she was lying. Understand? Not really, but it sounds incredible. That's right, it is incredible. The corners of Kamashiro-kun's mouth twitched up into a smile. Not just that, but none of them would have been possible without an expert. Oh, okay. An expert? For the interrogation, it seemed the school required a certain student to assist them. Of course, I couldn't find who the student was, but I finally realized it would be difficult to utilize something such as brain fingerprinting without an expert in the field. They needed to collaborate with someone. If they knew, they would have no reason to imagine it. I'm saying there's someone at this school who is familiar with the intricacies of the brain. Eh? At that exact moment, an awful thought came wandering into my head. I didn't want it to come true, so I quickly tried to think of something else to distract me. It has nothing to... You know him, big sis. He's the super high school level neurologist, Matsuda Yasuke. I heard something that sounded like a short fuse behind my ear. My brain was drawing a blank. With the death notice from earlier, I thought there was no mistaking there was a connection between Enoshima Junko and Matsuda Yasuke, but perhaps Matsuda knew Enoshima's weakness. Anyway, there must be a reason behind their connection, right? The boy released Enoshima Junko from the interrogation way too easily, and continued to talk on, with his eyes shining brightly. I found myself nodding in agreement to everything he said. After he had spoken for approximately an age and a day, I couldn't help but feel as though I had no energy remaining. Don't worry, Ryuko. I feel the same way every single time that I have to read something involving Kamashiro. Even so, Kamashiro-kun continued to talk. In contrast to his happy, talkative nature, I was looked depressed at best. The point being, I can't help but feel as though Matsuda Yasuke may have been the last hidden piece, you know? I mean, do you think Enoshima Junko has just been obsessively aiming at the good relationship between Matsuda and yourself? Hey, if it really is how I think it is, then don't you think that's the connection? I'm not really thinking anything. I don't know anything. I don't even know how the conversation turned to Matsuda-kun in the first place. I don't know. That's your new one, because you can't say that has nothing to do with you anymore. I don't know about these overwhelming reasons. It's impossible that everything has a reason behind it. I stopped writing in my notebook, because my self-defense is working. If something came and threatened my world, I'd be happy if I just forgot about it. Because if I forgot about it, that means I have nothing to do with it, and it protects my world. So, I'll look away from life's inconveniences and misfortunes. I'll chase after my world with all the strength I carry. I've cast away my feelings of self-hatred and guilt, because I'll always forget, whether or not I turn away from the truth. And so, I have nothing to do with the things I forget. That's my self-defense. Yeah, I really do feel like we'll solve this soon. I suddenly realized, as Kamashiro-kun continued to talk to himself, he was drawing nonsense shapes on the top of the table. Say, big sis, it seems like the end of your issue is coming soon too. After I solve it, it'll be time for you to get ready to No. Not even reading any of this. After he finished his one-sided conversation, he got up from his chair, though it looked more like he was jumping up. No, fuck off. Alright, well, we're on the home run now. After yelling out an encouraging shout, he turned around. I'm sure next time we meet Big Sis, I'll have solved this case. As he waved his hand, Kamashiro-kun departed from the table. However, after only walking a few steps, he stopped. Oh, right. He looked back with an expression that told me he had just remembered something. If you don't want to be sitting around doing nothing, you could look into Matsuda Yasuke's small problem. Well, it doesn't matter how much you look into it, he won't be killed or anything, but I thought it'd be good to mention it just in case. Still, I don't know what sort of secret connection Matsuda Yasuke and Enoshima Junko have, but it's better to be careful. Secret connection? Enoshima-san and Matsuda-kun have a secret connection? What the heck? What the heck? I was attacked by a wave of anxiety. My chest tightened in pain. I felt scared of everything. I was just exhausted. Anyway, no, you should get ready, big sis. Anything could happen. Kamashiro couldn't finish his warning and turned away. This time he disappeared into the school cafeteria's crowd like a ghost. Thus, I was left alone in the school cafeteria. I was still feeling exhausted. For the time being, I decided just concentrating on taking several deep breaths. There was no reason for it. I was simply stalling time. The time to solve the mystery. Time always relentlessly continued in a steady stream. That's why I spent this time taking my deep breaths. And I forgot. I forgot everything. Perfectly. Very soon, I couldn't remember why I was taking such deep breaths. How strange. Well, whatever. There was no more that I could forget. From that point on, I was a bright, cheerful, and brimming with positivity. Without so much as a backward glance, I walked to the future, filled with hope. I picked up my notebook from the surface of the table with a plethora of momentum. I stood from my chair and... Huh? I felt lightheaded. Or maybe a little different to that. I suddenly grabbed the table with my hands. I looked to where I was looking previously. The words in my notebook danced around the page, distorting themselves. At that moment, I shivered and felt like a horde of insects was crawling up my back. My knees buckled. I thought briefly about what was happening and soon I found I was sitting on the chair again. The inside of my head was stained with a metallic grey. My mind was completely blank. I'm tired. My eyelids became heavy and my face slackened. The world circling around me was quickly disappearing. The busy, noisy students around me were vanishing. The human shapes surrounding me were all melting together. It was as if I was poisoned or hypnotized. I couldn't move a single finger. It was in that complete stillness that I suddenly heard a voice. What an ominous laugh. It was strange, yet sounded so familiar. What's this? Did you actually remember me? I'm happy! Despite your awful habit of forgetting things, you still remembered me. That's right, it's super high school level despair. It's been a while. Oh, man. I know exactly what's happening here. I know exactly what this is. Why can I remember? Why did I remember them? Even so, I remembered someone. Before this voice told me something. Let's meet up again. Then I'll kill you properly. Suddenly, I was looking upwards. Before my eyes was a giant shadow standing over me. The shadow had a familiar face, but I couldn't recall any memory of the face. That familiar face stared intensely at me, like it was trying to look past my skin. Their irises were colored by darkness itself. It was like their eyes were despairing, even in despair. As I looked into these eyes, an unexpected thought popped into my head. Ah, so I'll be killed by those eyes. Unfortunately, I can't actually kill you this time either, they whispered to me, like they were answering my thoughts. Once again, I can't kill you due to circumstances, since you still haven't tasted enough despair. You need to taste an even more despair-inducing despair, you see. Suddenly, all the light surrounding me disappeared. At the same time, I noticed my eyelids were shut. The shadow seemed to cover my face completely. But if you say you don't want to taste despair, then it means war. If you don't fight despair, you'll never feel hope again. Those were the last words I heard. After after that voice's sounds, everything had disappeared. As numbness took hold of my body, all my senses stopped working. I was completely still. I fell out of consciousness. I fell out of it silently. So once again, Kamashiro is fucking awful. I will say, unlike almost every single other time we've spoken to Kamashiro, hey, Kamashiro takes up a large portion of a chapter in this. And plot happens and moves forward. And things are happening. But I feel this book could be so much shorter if Kamashiro wasn't who Kamashiro was. If he wasn't a character that just wasted time on nothingness and re-explained shit that we already know, and just again, because when other characters are talking about how exhausting it is to hear Kamashiro, and I'm feeling exhausted reading Kamashiro, it makes it exhausting. Because and it's just, whenever Kamashiro's around, it's just like everything drags the fuck on way too much. Because he just like I'm okay with scenes that are designed to build upon the characters and focus on that more than building the plot. I mean, we had a bunch of chapters earlier on where it was purely building Ryuko as a character and building her relationship to herself, the worlds, and Mitsuda, and building Mitsuda as a character, and little explanations of other characters. But a lot of the time, even when they did that, just Ryuko is more interesting as a character, Mitsuda is more interesting as a character than Kamashiro is, because the way that they talk and think isn't just an exhausting long monologue that goes nowhere. And it's just, I think that's the main thing. It's like, most of the other characters talk fairly shortly, except for sometimes Mitsuda has a long thing to say, but when he says that, it's usually pretty dense about what he's saying and like what his feelings towards things are coming across and all of that. And Junko, when Junko talks long, she also conveys a lot in when she's actually talking for a long period of time. And when the other characters, like Jin or the steering committee or anyone, when they're talking for a long time, it's almost direct exposition and telling you shit that's happening that's important. When Kamashiro talks, it's not getting much more of Kamashiro's personality or his ideas or thoughts towards things across much at all, because he's extremely one-dimensional, and you know every bit of his deal and his personality and everything from the moment that you meet him. So him going on for line upon line upon line upon line isn't giving you more insight to him as a character, because it's always the same fucking thing over and over. And he uses way too many words to describe everything. And most of the time, the plot doesn't even go anywhere, because he's multiple steps behind every other character and plot point in this. This is the one time where Kamashiro has come along, and yes, he's explaining new things to Ryuko that Ryuko doesn't know, but either due to us knowing the other games or us reading the other parts of this book, most of the shit that Kamashiro says is stuff we already know, and it's exhausting to read his fucking dialogue. That being said, I fucking called it, so I'm happy with that. That's exactly what's happening there. I called it in the sense that I threw 10 guesses at the wall, and one of them's turning out to be right. But I still called it. Everyone owes me $10. Well, $1 because it was $10 if I got it right. I don't even think I said that. I just put you into that contract and you just have to live with it. And I threw 10 guesses at the wall, and one of them's right, so you all owe me $1. Support me on Patreon with that $1 at a link that doesn't exist because I don't have a Patreon. Hashtag yet, wink face, wink face. So on the next chapter is the final chapter before the final chapter, which again, final chapter is 100 pages long. So, hey, we're going to do the next chapter and then 5 hours of reading in the next video after that. So that's going to be fun. So, next episode, I'm assuming we're going to flick back to Mitsuda at this point, because how the fuck's he going to get out of what the fuck he's put himself into is the main question right now. And also, how will this end? But until then, this is version 2, signing out.